So I've been on the faculty at the Kennedy School since 2000. And in many ways, I was asked to design a course on organizing. And that turned out to be a great gift to me because it was a way to integrate my life experience in social science in a conversation with a rising generation. And so I became very focused on pedagogy and on the pedagogy of leadership development, of community building, organizing, and advocacy, and sort of how all that works. And so where I was coming from on this team question is a lot of experience with voluntary organizations, voluntary associations, social movements that tend to be quite fragile. And quite fragile, especially when it comes to the question of leadership. Individuals taking responsibility, burning out, being accused by everybody else of trying to hog all the power. Maybe this doesn't happen here, I don't know, but I suspect it might. Reactions to sort of the traditional idea of one person telling everybody what to do as something abhorrent in organizational life. And so therefore saying, well, we don't need leaders at all, we don't need leadership. And so this eventually led to kind of a convergence on the notion of leadership teams as a possible way to kind of escape those two poles of like no leadership, chaos, one leader, a different kind of problematic structure. And found myself drawing on the work largely of one of my mentors, Richard Hackman, and others, in experimenting with how we could construct leadership teams, first in projects with the Sierra Club on their local groups and why some were working and some weren't, and then in the Obama campaign 2007, where we were launching volunteer organization around the country and decided to launch it based on teams rather than the old model of the individual with a few helpers and that sort of thing. So let me just share both a blend kind of my experience and what I've been hearing here. On one hand, I've heard a number of people talk about the importance of knowing the other people, but knowing at a deeper level, not just kind of like resume knowing or organization knowing, but knowing something about who the other people are. What we found is that if we lay a foundation for a team by, first of all, teaching people, enabling people to learn how to articulate their personal stories about the values that bring them to whatever the project or the work is, and combine that with one-on-one meetings, with real intentionality of learning, sharing each other, trying to learn something in real depth about each other's values and motivations, also interests, also resources, so that there's sort of an explicit deal, well, yeah, there's enough here that we could commit to working with one another. So again, it's not just like kind of, oh, we sit in a bar, we happen to be chatting. That's nice, that's friendly, that's terrific. I'm talking about with intentionality, building relationships as foundational to even launching a team in the first place. So that there's a relational foundation in the first place, that people have some knowledge of each other, some sense of their values, so that they can make a choice about whether or not they want to be on that team. And so that's at one end. And I heard several people mention that as occurring and as being important. And I think it absolutely is important, and it can be done intentionally. Now at the other end, I heard people talking about the goal outcome versus we got along, we as a group, we were terrific. I actually think that the measure of a successful team is 3 outcomes, not 2. And I don't think they're either or. I think they have to be all 3. Otherwise, you don't have a good team. There is the responsibility to produce whatever that goal is. I mean, that's why you're there. You're contracting to get something done, to make something happen. That's real. And it may be for yourselves. A lot of the teams I work with are self-governing teams, and so that really matters. Or maybe you were assigned something that you need to do, but you got to take that seriously. But in a well-functioning team, the team will learn to be a better team at the same time. It'll grow stronger. It'll become more adaptive, more collaborative, more creative over time. And the individuals will also experience growth and learning. So that it isn't like I'm sacrificing for the team, I'm learning through the team. Because the way the team is designed, it's rooted in what I have to contribute and what I have to learn. And again, I'm talking about not happenstance, but intentionality. Now, so then knowing people on one end expecting these kinds of outcomes at the other end, then what are some of the conditions? Now, nobody mentioned this, but people mentioned differences of resources, differences of skills. Yeah, that's really important, that there's a diversity of the kinds of skills or practices the team will need. But nobody mentioned boundedness. And in my experience, that turns out to be crucial. That it's very clear who's on the team and who isn't. I don't know about you, but I've been to far too many meetings where, well, three people didn't come to the last one, so let's spend time filling them in. And then half our time is gone, and then we got a revolving door, and it's crazy. It's abusive of people's time. It's irresponsible, and it inhibits our learning. So when I say bounded, I don't mean exclusive, but I mean a clear decision. Who's on the team? Henry's got me going to Canadian game tonight. And just imagine how a hockey team would operate if it was unclear from, well, oh, tonight we're 6, well, now we'll be 8, and now we'll be 3.
You're talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Oh, okay, all right, there you go. No, isn't it the Red Wings tonight? Well, okay, well, anyway. Yeah, oh, the Maple Leafs, they operate that way, all right. No, but it's in that kind of context, we think it's absurd. Well, why isn't it then when it comes to our own work? I mean, why don't the same principles apply that boundedness and stability really matter? Because they do. Because over time, we acquire the capacity to work well with one another, and we learn about each other, and we become better at what we're doing. And then if there's time to change the team, you change the team. But it's all explicit. And I want to suggest that this is one of those areas where we actually have learned a lot about how to launch teams, how to give them a good shot at succeeding. And it seems like that kind of understanding is something that we need to share and make use of. What's been really interesting has been offering this kind of structure as an alternative to the one person or the no person, and seeing people develop a capacity for collaborative leadership as such a more productive and fruitful way to go than what we've been used to.